So Donald Trump has just won the presidency. And just like that, inflation is going to disappear. All of the people laid off from their jobs since 2022 get a call, tell them to come back to work. Your electric bill is going to drop. Everybody going to be booking cheap flights to Miami so they can go out there and stunt on the ground. No, that's not how our government works. It takes time for a president to make changes. There's a process to getting things done. And right now, all of the writing is still on the wall for some type of economic downturn in 2025. I got some clips for you to see so you can make up your own mind. Welcome to the Mr. Wilson's Got a Headache podcast. I'm your host, Dennis the Menace. Since you're here, go ahead and like the video. Make sure you join the comment section and subscribe to the channel for more content. Check this out.
Despite inflation returning back to somewhat normal, prices are still significantly higher today than they were a few years ago. And as a result, debt delinquency is back to its highest level in 12 years. However, the White House says that this is all a big error of calculation because in their eyes, inflation is actually below 2% if you remove housing from the equation. That's right, when you calculate the level of inflation within our economy, one metric makes up a third of the overall reading, and that's what's called owner's equivalent rent. In this case, homeowners are surveyed and asked if they were to rent their home out today, how much would they charge? Well, that amount is calculated within the inflation report, and since housing prices are going up, that's reflected in the headline number that we see here. Except if you just remove that, since housing prices are the result of a structural shortfall and not inflationary pressures, then voila, inflation is now below 2% and it's a job well done. Although before we go into the massive problem with this, along with why mortgage rates are going up despite interest rates going down, we need to talk about another metric that's extremely important, the stock market. Look, on the surface, the stock market has seen an absolutely incredible run over these last 5 years. I mean, let's face it, the S&P 500 has doubled within that time frame. But as you're about to see, those sort of returns aren't exactly normal. Like, take a look at this. Since 1924, the S&P 500 has increased overall by just 6.5% a year, or with dividends reinvested by 10% a year, which is even lower when you account for inflation.
The S&P 500 has almost doubled in the last 5 years, and most economists agree it's not normal for that to happen, especially when it's normal for the stock market to go through periods where it hits an apex and then it drops. And this allows the price of those stocks to drop, which then gives investors a chance to buy these stocks at a discount and ride the wave back up to its normal prices or beyond. This is the time in the cycle where most millionaires are made. Make no mistake about it. A market crash or market correction is a normal part of the process. There's no reason to believe it'll be different this time. But that's not the only sign that we had. We also are showing signs in the car market with repossessions and in the housing market. Check this out.
Oh, the list is long. The cost of the cars we drive, the apartments we rent, the homes we own, the cost all going up and away. And now it's causing a concerning upward trend in car repossessions and defaults on home loans.
So what can be done to protect your biggest investments? Let's get to consumer investigator Hank Winchester.
Whether it's the price of your morning coffee or paying for your vehicle, the cost of almost everything, it seems to be going up. This morning, a real look at the real numbers and what you can do to control those costs.
Eggs, milk, everything. I go in the Hollywood Market and get 2 bags and I spend over $50.
Andrew Ballard, like many of us, dealing with these difficult economic times. Whether it's groceries or his car, he's making some changes.
I have a pre-owned car right now, the 2014. Just got done paying off here a few years ago.
So you're going to keep that until it goes.
You bet.
Car, rent, and real estate prices are soaring. People feeling the pinch, but that doesn't mean that deals can't be found, especially right now in the used car market.
We've been kind of teetering the last few years with the prices of the cars, up one month, down the next month. But right now we got about 94 cars in inventory.
The average vehicle price, though, right now across the country, about $48,000. The average auto loan, just over 7%. But here's the shocker. Auto repossessions right now up 23% from last year at this time.
I always recommend looking online. You could type in, Michigan Credit Union best rates out there, and then, we could shop it from there.
When it comes to home repossessions, they too are soaring, and with low inventory, it remains a very aggressive seller's market.
As I said on one of my other videos, in 2023, 70% of real estate agents only sold one house. And currently, houses are sitting on the market for much longer than what they used to. These are all signs of the housing market slowing down. In 2024, car repossessions are up 23%. But you have to keep in mind, car repossessions begin to increase at the beginning of inflation in 2022. So that's 3 years of increases on repossessions across the country. We just talked about a stock market bubble that needed to pop, and when it did, it would lower prices on stocks. When you look at the car market and you look at the housing market, if car dealers and home sellers can't sell their houses, prices eventually will come down. It will be painful for the economy, but again, these corrections are a healthy part of the cycle. There's no magic pill or a magic person that can come in and stop us and change the trajectory that we're already on. Maybe they can slow it down. In walks Donald Trump. Big promises. He kept those promises his last time in office. There's no reason to believe he wouldn't do it now, but maybe we're too far along in this process to not feel the pain in 2025. Check this out.
50% of Americans believe that the result of the 2024 presidential election will directly impact their personal finances, while about 99% of voters say that the economy is at least somewhat important in influencing their vote for the next president.
Voters absolutely are using the economy as a metric by which to evaluate presidents. It's something that they encounter in their day-to-day lives, what their bank accounts look like, what their grocery bills look like. And so it's very natural to start to wonder, well, who's responsible for this? And so people can eventually get this sort of picture in their minds of a president as a kind of economic wizard behind a curtain that's pulling levers, and we're just all on the receiving end of this, when the reality is something like presidents are basically a roulette ball spinning around a wheel, desperately hoping that their presidency lands on black.
So how much influence do US presidents actually have on the economy?
There has been a tendency on the part of our society, led by politicians, to exaggerate the amount of power that the president wields. And that's encouraged by participants in these campaigns. You've got a problem, I'm going to solve it.
Policymakers have two main tools to influence the economy: monetary and fiscal policy.
So monetary policy is one important tool that the government has to try to prevent the economy from overheating too much or from cooling off too much, to find that nice, perfect sweet spot of low unemployment and low inflation. What it really has to do with kind of interest rates, right? The cost of borrowing money. If interest rates go up, for example, people will be more willing to save, less willing to make new purchases, less willing to take out big loans, and this should help to kind of cool off the economy if inflation is running high.
But by design, power over monetary policies fall under the authority of the Federal Reserve, rather than the President of the United States.
The biggest question is whether or not Donald Trump can save this economy. Or maybe we're just in the beginning of a cycle that we have to take, and we have to accept the pain of a market correction. And because in this cycle we've experienced so much inflation, it may be necessary in order to get prices closer to where they used to be, before both administrations decided to print trillions of dollars that caused the inflation in the first place. Currently, the Biden administration is saying that inflation is down, but the everyday shopper is not feeling it at the grocery store. The price of insurance is still high, and it looks like it's going to be even more expensive this winter to heat your homes. Me personally, I believe that we're too far down the rabbit hole. I believe that this process has to play out, and the only thing that Donald Trump will have time to do is to give us a soft landing and make sure that the fall is not a complete crash. We can't expect one person to come in, be inaugurated, and just change the course of an economy. But we know in the United States, that next year, people will be complaining about what's happening in the economy. It'll all be on Donald Trump, especially for the midterms. Maybe I'm wrong about it. Maybe you know something that I need to know. What do you think? Do you think that we're going to have a hard time in 2025? Do you think there's anything that Donald Trump could do about it, considering that he'll be reinstated in January of 2025? Do me a favor, like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel for more content, and as always, I'll see you on the next video.